It's the Undressed Show. Yes, it's Wednesday night Undressed. Here we are again. Another interminable week has drifted by, yet still slathered in sweat. We sit waiting for the winter to arrive, dreaming of cooler days, maybe a little rain or snow. We don't ask for much. As I purposely digress, I try to see our panel through the smog that's still settled, and not long after the end of the Vietnam era, actually. Oh, good old Conroy's. Nothing changes. Yes, Conroy's Emporium, where you can catch anything your heart desires. Now then, my fellow undressed, it's me, Jeremy Tavier, your English host, left behind, having been Brexited with the weekly crew of miscreants who, as you know, have already been banned by the FCC, the IOC, and many other organisations ending in C. I've wandered again, so let me introduce the naked but not undressed panel today. The very wise Dr. Orlando.
Hello.
The indefatigable Kathleen Taylor. The
Hello.
Legendary Tyler Durden.
JT, what's good?
Yes, what's up? I don't know why he likes me saying that, but anyway. And the inimitable Jane Carter.
Hello.
And not to forget, hello. 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 You can just imagine her from finishing school in Switzerland, can't you? And we do not want to forget the quiet lord of Eastern pheromones, Evanoff.
You know, last week, 24% of your introduction made sense. We're down to about 13%. This week, it's 13.
Well, it's your elections, isn't it? That's what it is. It's the elections. That's
I can't believe you gave it 24% to begin with.
Last week, yeah, I know. But
well, it was the
it's
French
sliding
jury.
down.
The French jury were down on the percents. That's what it is. Yes. Now, we've had a lot of fun doing the game that we like to play, What If You Were Wrong About? This week we're going to do What If We're Wrong About with a twist. In that, Evo and Lewis have been volunteered, and they will actually be giving the best answer. But I have to tell you, the rest of the crew are going to get to choose what the subjects are. And I'm going to share with you what the subjects are. There are 10 of them, and they're going to be able to come up with a number, and they'll choose them. So here are the subjects, and this will give Evo and Lewis just about 3 minutes maybe to think about, oh my gods.
Are they going to do them together or separately?
They're going to answer. We'll come up with a number, and Evo and Lewis will do a little speech each.
Okay.
So number one, heels. Number one is heels. Number two,
heels as in
heels.
H-E-E-L-S.
Heels.
Okay.
2, angels. Angels. 3, the word coffee. 4, the animal sloth. Sloths.
Wait, are you talking about a sloth?
Sloth.
Well, yes, an American might call it a sloth, but it's actually known as a sloth. Number 5 is a cool one.
No, it's actually a sloth.
Poop. What if we're wrong about poop? Number 6, Julian Assange from WikiLeaks. What if we're wrong about Julian Assange? 7, skunks. 8 is a difficult one, actually. A lot of thought went into this. Water.
Okay.
Winston Churchill once said, I make it a point, never ever, to drink anything non-alcoholic between meals. 9, what if we're wrong about mountain oysters? Mountain oysters. And 10, finally, boxer shorts. What if we're wrong about boxer shorts? Now, I know that's some intriguing things, so what we need for the lads to come up with something is for the audience, that's you lot out there, to come up with a number between 1 and 10. Come up with a number between 1 and 10. You won't be able to remember what they are, so just come up with a number.
7.
7. So they've chosen number 7. Okay.
Please tell me it's poop.
It's not poop. Dang it. Skunks. Skunks. What if we are wrong about skunks? Lewis going to go first.
Okay, so I've always thought we were wrong about skunks. When I was a little kid, I used to watch this little documentary about this guy named Pepe Le Pew. And he would always mistake the skunks for the cats. And I always thought that he knew something that none of us knew, that skunks are really just cats in disguise. They have become so upset because they are not getting fed on a regular basis by their, I use the term owners here dubiously, because we all know that cats have actually trained us to feed them, and we don't really get any benefit from the cats. So it's much more appropriate to say that the cats own us. Anyway, Pepe Le Pew figured out a long time ago, or he let us know a long time ago, that skunks are really just cats who have gotten so fed up with their diet, they have decided to stink up as much as they can for the animals around them. So we've always been wrong to think that skunks are anything other than really, really pissed off cats who have the ability to smell bad on command.
All right.
Evo, what do you think about skunks?
Well, I kind of tend to agree. I think skunks actually might be cats that one time did not deliver with Federal Express. And that's when they got that white stripe. That's when they. That's what made them skunks.
You think they got run over by a Federal Express truck?
No.
Okay,
They just got grey hair.
So there's four of us, and the audience can be the tiebreaker. Let's start with Tyler Durden. What do you think about what they were saying about skunks?
So do I have to choose between those two?
You can choose, comment, do whatever you like.
I guess if I have to pick a winner, I would say probably Lewis, but I would also pose the question to both these gentlemen. What if we're wrong about skunks and they're actually quite tasty and they're maybe a delicacy and we just don't know it because they
Skunk
smell so
stew.
awful?
Skunk stew.
Maybe they're
sure.
just delicious and we just don't know it because they smell so awful that nobody ever wants to capture and eat them.
Just like other things in nature, the ones that are poisonous are always the best.
Well,
Yeah,
Jane, are
exactly.
you a city girl or a country girl?
I'm a little bit of both, but I grew up in the country.
So you've tried skunk, have you?
No, I've not.
No.
I've known people who've actually had them as pets before. They're actually really nice.
Because you can de-smell
docile.
skunks, can't you?
Yes.
Just
And then
start
they make
feeding them
quite
better
good.
cat food.
Well, Kathleen,
It's a gland. You can remove the gland, right?
you just stick your finger up. It's
No, I think surgically you have
Look,
to
what you
remove
do
the
in the
gland.
evening in your privacy of
Yeah,
your own home,
yeah,
that's your deal, dude.
Yeah.
well, as long as it's a grown skunk.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah,
Kathleen.
fingering skunks
As
is
long
a
as
great
it's
name for
consensual.
heavy metal band.
This is taking
I'm
a
not
turn
sure I want to
already.
even be
Fingered
here, much less
skunk.
talk
Fingered
about it.
Fingered skunk.
Skunk finger bang.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
Kathleen,
Wow.
you know, when you were on
Well-
the farm, what do you reckon?
Well, no, I'm going with the documentary about Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le
That
Pew.
got me. I enjoyed those documentaries as well.
Do we want to do another one? We're just waiting for these guys to come back. It's terrible. You got TV. He's so used to having TV, is that Evo? You know, and being on with. What was the name of the girl who has white sheets all over the studio?
Oh, yeah, Laura.
Laura.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that with a U or an O?
It's a reporter. Jeremy is so cryptic. It's a reporter that had me interviewed, and for some reason her show is set up like a living room where all the furniture is covered with white sheets.
Was this in Bulgaria?
Yeah, it
Okay.
just made no sense. I mean, it's like, who does that? I mean, other than if you're trying to de-skunk the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
We undertook not to talk about presidential candidates for a while, and it's been around 7 shows. So I went to my wife and I said, "Please, may I have my coin?" I'm allowed a little pocket money from time to time. And
I give
so
him a dime
I tossed
now and then.
my coin carefully, and on this week's show, we look at Trump. Next show, we'll be looking at Clinton, sort of things like her not doing press conferences and traveling on her own plane with no media. But first, this week, crew, please explain to me why you think Trump is not, in all reality, a James Bond supervillain, sponsored behind the scenes by the Russian government. He sits atop his tower, stroking his cat and counting his gold. Shades of at least 2 Bond villains. What think you, Tyler?
Simple. He lacks the intelligence to be any type of supervillain
You're
in
right.
any way, shape, or
Oh,
form.
that is
They're all
on
excellent.
any
smart.
platform.
As a matter of fact, when you're asking that, it immediately made me think of the parody of Dr. Evil instead. And some of the, shit that he asks for, like, freaking laser beams on top of sharks' heads.
That is a good one.
Makes
a
That
lot of
is,
sense.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is, there is a lot of evidence when you look at Paul Manafort having to resign really, really quickly. When you look at Putin's latest girlfriend, okay, who was
Best friend of Trump's daughter, right?
best friend of Trump's daughter, but she was recently married to the guy who owns Sky and Fox News and all that sort of thing. Divorced him, or he divorced her, when he found out that she may have been having an affair with the British Prime Minister, right? Interesting
You're
lady.
not talking Maggie Thatcher.
And we're not talking about Mrs. Thatcher.
No.
And so this lady gets around. So
this is
what
some
I'm
kind
getting
of-
at is, we know that Paul Manafort was working for one of the Ukrainian governments, and the president was heavily sponsored by Putin.
Yeah.
So how do we know?
Well, that is kind of villainous because, what's happening here is you remember that in Ukraine, all the events that started with the puppet government in Ukraine. People got fed up with it, and they started basically a revolution and got
That's true.
rid of it.
And it's not as though the United States has never actually instituted a puppet government anywhere else in the world. They've been doing this for decades upon decades.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility.
But the Trump manager actually helped that puppet government with election and advice and consulting jobs and got like something like $16 million for it from that puppet government, which is basically getting it from Putin, getting this money from Putin. So there is a 1 degree of separation really between Trump and Putin. And now you're saying, of course, you probably read every British tabloid. I don't know how true this story is about the girlfriends and Putin's girlfriend being best friends with Trump's daughter.
There's
Well, there's
definitely a picture about it.
photographs of it. I mean, she was
But-
the daughter was in Greece with Putin's girlfriend.
But these are like these are extremely rich people that might have been just hanging out together at a very rich resort, somehow.
What you
by
mean, like we do?
coincidence. Yeah, of course. At the spa in Tonganoxie.
Yeah.
But the supervillain part, you got to come back to the supervillain part.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
it's
Trump does
it's
apparently
possible, but-
run a model agency that's basically a slave labor
well.
thing.
Yeah, I mean slave labor, but those East European models. I'm air quoting again here for our
Who
listeners.
are working while they're not on working visas.
But they come here voluntarily and they do whatever they do,
So do
because
Mexicans.
But anyway, supervillain. I agree with Tyler that there is a certain level of intelligence that's required to be a Bondian supervillain.
I mean, he's
at
got
least
a gold-colored plane, hasn't he?
He does. He's got everything fits. The plane, the helicopter,
Yeah.
the ridiculous,
hair.
The hair.
overboard apartment.
And if
the
you wanted
tower.
sharks with frickin' laser beams on top of their head.
Yeah, the tower, the
I
Trump
could actually
Tower.
see him asking for that.
I can,
Except
yeah.
one thing, you need to come up with intricate, beautifully composed one-liners to throw at James Bond as you're about to leave him to die.
Trump
Yeah.
does not have that skill
Trump
at all.
doesn't have
At
that
all.
skill. He's got 300 words. They're so stupid.
And they
You
only
know,
have
they're-
one
No,
or two
Mrs.
syllables
Clinton.
each.
No, Mrs. Clinton. I'm
Yeah.
expecting you to lose.
I mean, well, that's weak. On the other hand, he likes people that don't get tortured. Remember
captured.
that?
Get
captured.
Yes.
Yeah,
Captured.
he likes people that don't
He doesn't
get
care about
captured.
the torture part.
Yeah.
Do you think, just a question, serious question, I want to vote here. How many people here think that possibly Trump's newly implanted hair is actually threads of gold?
It's possible that he has like micro particles of gold embedded into the new plugs.
It does look like that. Yeah.
See, I wonder if you lift up the lid, right? There's a bunch of little guys operating things, like off the
Like homunculus.
what was it?
Random henchmen arbitrarily turning knobs in the
Yeah,
background.
no, it lifts up, right, and there's some little guys in there, right, and they're
almost
sort of doing
yes.
stuff, like operating.
But
him.
they're legal. They're legal immigrants.
They come from
They're
another
legal.
country, like Men
They're
in Black.
legal
Men
pygmies.
in Black.
Yeah.
They're probably actually
Film.
literally aliens rather than just the term that people throw around all the
They're
time.
legal aliens.
Illegal, yeah.
Legal.
Yeah, they came on a spacecraft, and in the
Illegal
spacecraft
extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
actually sits on the top of Trump
I
Tower.
mean, scientifically, somebody needs to calculate like the exact amount of time that it takes our conversation to deteriorate completely. Like we have to see if it's
Not
takes
very
like 30
long.
seconds or 45 seconds. You know, I don't know how we ended up here talking about little aliens on Trump's head.
Actually, this conversation makes me kind of yearn for a day when instead of candidates having to release their taxes, release your IQ score. Oh. I would love to see that. I would love to know what Trump's true IQ score is.
Yeah. Well, W's would be like single digits. You know,
Might even
I'm
be
just
negative
wondering
somehow.
whether it would
it would be negative
two
somehow.
digits or not.
Yeah.
Well, his lexicon score must be high.
Trump versus W on Jeopardy would be fantastic. Or Wheel of Fortune.
Think anybody would get past the first level?
I kind of wonder how quickly
Will
we'll take
Ferrell
Alex
has
to
to bring
swing.
back the Jeopardy with.
I was gonna
with
say, has
W
anybody done
and
that
Trump.
yet?
Oh my goodness,
No.
that's gonna be so good.
That's a great idea.
This writes itself. I mean, it's just gonna be fantastic.
Maybe Dan Quayle is the third.
Oh my god.
Remember
No,
Dan
Sarah.
Quayle.
Sarah Palin.
Oh, that's even better.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yes.
Why is that? Has that not happened yet?
That's comedic gold
It's
right
like-
there.
yeah, I know.
Who would win that game?
We would.
People that
Everybody
didn't
else.
watch it.
Yes.
So we'll
Okay,
move on to.
I just have
Go
a
on, yeah.
random Trump question. Do you guys think that Trump's pivot on the immigration thing?
He wasn't pivoting. He was spinning like a top.
Trump's spin on the immigration thing. Do you think that was specifically timed for the Ann Coulter's book to be released?
Oh my
Do you
goodness.
think? I'm being 100% sincere. Is Trump just that incompetent, or is this some evil machination that we'll learn about later
Well, he
on?
probably doesn't think she's attractive enough, so he dismisses her.
The reality is that Trump has got some very bright people working for him, not with him, for him.
When you
and
say-
I think you'll find that when he gives his speech, he's about to give a speech as we're recording this show. You will find that he will talk about all the things he intends to do, and then we will discover that all the things he intends to do are already being done, and so he'll make it sound. Really quite something. And one of the interesting things I find about this, as a history scholar, and I know Tyler has an interest in this as well, is that immediately after the Second World War, immediately after the Second World War, there was an election in Great Britain, and Winston Churchill had to stand. He didn't want to, and in fact the Labour leader didn't particularly want to stand against him, but the people wanted the election. And Churchill said that he felt that you didn't want to have a Labour government because a Labour government would be like the communists, and the British wouldn't like that. And he used these words. He said, for it to work, you would need a benign Gestapo. Those are Churchill's words. Churchill.
So it would be like an induced labor government.
A benign Gestapo. Now, I'm just thinking back to what Trump was saying not very long ago about what would they do. They would have a team of people to move this between
A deportation. force.
crew between 11 and 20 million illegal people in this country.
How would they do it?
A benign.
We'll hire illegal immigrants.
No, he says it would be done humanely.
Yeah.
Sure.
I repeat, a benign Gestapo. The only way you could
Great
make it
oxymoron.
work
yeah.
would be for people to, and we use in the phrase in England, dob in other people.
In other
Because
words,
if
tell
people
on.
are here illegally, the
Rat on their
authorities
friends.
are only going to know about a certain number of them. And so the authorities are going to have to find out. And it's going to be setting family against family, friend against friend, people against people. And what will happen is that the poor will be offered money, just like the Gestapo did
Yeah.
in Europe. And that's that, to my mind, if someone like Churchill can say that despite the pleas of his wife, and he admitted many years later that of course she was right.
Actually, there's something else to take into account there. Your idea about the poor being offered money and the poor then going to report people. something else I think would happen in this country, especially at this time. I could see people who are middle class or higher to get rid of the poor around them in their neighborhoods, what have you. They're going to report them, and that way they can say those poor people, they're the ones taking our jobs, they're the ones bringing down our economy, they're the ones who are the problem. And I could see that happening as well.
Even if they're not illegals.
Even if they're not illegals, just to kind of purify, if you will, their area around them.
I think
There is also another, and then I'll come back to Eva. For me, as an immigrant here, it's very frustrating when I had to come up with a six-figure sum to show that I had a six-figure sum to be able to come and live here to cover, in case we needed to make a claim for myself and my three sons. That's a very serious amount of money, it was. And, you're only allowed to use a certain amount of the money you'd use for your house. It has to be tangible assets, right? So and I did it. So I did it the legal way, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's a little frustrating when there are people just wandering across borders or sailing around the border or something. I understand
Without
why they're doing
investment,
it.
yeah.
I understand why they're doing it, and I have a huge amount of sympathy for them.
Yeah.
I really do, genuinely. But at the same time, there's a part of me that says, it's not really fair. Evo, you've done the same thing.
I think, if Trump wins the presidency, I'm going to stay away from my personal
forbid.
immigration story, but if Trump wins presidency, I think the only way for illegal immigrant to stay in the country should be if they promise Trump to buy a lot of guns. That would be good. That would be good incentive. And then I was also thinking that there are already heavy metal bands being formed that are naming themselves Benign Gestapo.
And what is up with you in this? Seriously.
Benign Gestapo is super perfect. We haven't even finished talking yet. Sorry, Jeremy. I'm sorry. I needed to provide.
I'm moving on now. It doesn't matter what you say.
And there was that.
I could have said, what if we're wrong about somebody else? As a sort of intercession. Well, do you want me to go on to the new subject?
Let's go to the new subject.
New subject. All right. The traditional low voter turnouts as a percentage of the total population may show that the public don't actually care about a candidate's policy or even what they say or do. The question, does the panel agree that it is actually more that huge numbers of the population don't think voting is terribly important, and if they do vote, they tend to simply vote with their traditional herd?
Don't even understand the question.
The question, all right, let me rephrase this for the
If you put this question in the introduction, we'll go down to 7%.
Yes, for the less educated, the national turnout on a national election is roughly what, Kathleen?
On a national, depends on the state, but 60%, 60,
60%.
70%,
Whoa.
maybe.
So
No, it's lower than that.
In a presidential.
It's lower than that. It's about 48%.
That's
right.
Kansas. In a
No.
swing state, it's more.
Okay, in swing state, but if you're talking
Yeah.
just nationwide, you're
Nationwide,
you're
lower,
looking
yeah.
at about 48. I mean, it's
Okay.
less than half.
All right, let's call it, for the purposes of tonight's conversation, 60%. Let's just say, for shit and giggles, we'll call it 60%. All right, shake the
Yeah,
hand,
he's
call
right.
it
Understood
55.
that.
He's completely right. Overall, over
Shit
the
and
nation,
giggles.
it's
I
under
like
50%.
to giggle when I shit.
Shit and giggles.
Shit and giggles.
Anyway, so what are we saying? Are we agreeing on 55%?
No,
No, we'll go with
50 will do.
60. 60.
60%.
Let's go with that.
All right. That means 40% of the population do not vote. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And
If you're using
and if
Math.
we're,
Decimal-based
if we're
counting
saying
system.
60%, 30% vote Democrat, 30% vote Republican. And if you listen to the news at the moment, the media, the people who really know what they're talking about when it comes to elections, they're all saying, it doesn't matter what Trump does, his voters are going to vote for him.
Do you
and
really think
Clinton's
the media
voters
knows what they're talking about?
I was going to let him
part of the
finish his
problem.
statement before we
Clinton's
pounced
people
on
go,
that.
are you suggesting that there is a problem with the people in the media? Because there are people in the media in this room right now.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is, do people actually care? Do the people
think
out
it's
there
more
in America,
about-
out the front of Conroy's, where
This
you
is-
can see another person?
This is a little connected
they
to
care?
to that conversation we had about the mandatory voting in Australia and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. On some level, it's disappointing. On some level, you kind of don't want 100% of the people in the bayou to vote.
That's just
Or-
it.
or
It's
the
more about
Ozarks.
uninformed. That's. I think a lot of it has to do with that.
Bulgarian bigotry is what it's about here, my friend, I tell you.
think that there's a. I don't know what I think.
No, you don't know what you think, do you? You come here causing trouble
Yes,
and
that is my goal.
criticising
Well,
the...
Lou, hasn't it come to a situation where what Jeremy said is right, that people just vote with their herd, and it's about galvanizing the people in your herd to actually vote, to actually get them to vote, because with Hillary, there's a lot of people
was
in
thinking
our
more-
herd, in her herd, that are probably not going to, are not excited enough to vote.
Right.
And so it's about they're not even fighting for the
sheeple.
people that are in the middle, that are undecided. They're just fighting for their own people to actually get galvanized and vote.
Agree with you 100% because
Yeah.
if you look, I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or Hillary supporter. If you went up to anyone and said, "Okay, you're a Hillary supporter. Tell me, what is her economic plan?" I bet they can't tell you a damn thing about her economic plan. Or if you went up to a Trump supporter and said, "What is his economic plan?" Probably can't tell you a damn thing about it. They're just voting for that person because it's
Yeah.
that person.
Yeah.
They also
Or
can't spell
they've
economic.
latched
That's a
on to
majority of
one
Americans.
topic.
Yes.
One topic
Yes.
like guns. They attach themselves to one thing, just one thing.
Yep.
Gun spelled
There's-
backwards is
there's-
snug.
There's
Guns are for
more
hugging.
to it
Snugs.
than about not voting than just they're not interested in what's going on or herd mentality. There's also the fact that in this country, because of our peculiar arrangement of voting, it's your vote doesn't count as much as it should.
That yeah.
Today,
So
We were
the-
talking about swing states.
Oh, that's what I call my bedroom.
Yeah. Oh God. The places where
Well, particularly when you come back from Bulgaria.
the places
When you've
where
been away
it's a
from
law,
5 weeks.
Yes.
people don't bother to vote
Right.
You're right.
because their vote doesn't matter.
You're right.
Okay.
Totally agree with that. Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of relating it back to my interpretation of Jeremy's question here, is that new? Or like people, when you listen to the news, people are talking about the antipathy.
Yeah, that.
No,
Titty.
antipathy.
You want to say titty, don't you?
Yes.
You want to.
Antipathy
You can't
of
help
this
yourself.
election cycle is at an all-time high. And if you talk, I mean, when you talk about things like the gerrymandering and the marginalization of certain voter blocks,
And the electoral college.
and the electoral college,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
electoral college.
There you go.
Yeah, I love that. The electoral college. It's a great institution of higher learning.
See, that'd be like
I mean,
a great ride at
specifically
Disneyland.
Yeah.
Mark, aren't we? Yeah.
Take all this stuff into
Disney.
consideration, and it makes sense at very least that we are that we have. I can't say the word
This
anymore.
man has a degree,
He has
ladies
his
and
hands up
gentlemen.
like he's
Yes,
grabbing
I'm
tits,
trying
too.
to
That's
grab
the
the
best part.
tits,
Possibly
or the
even a
antipathy.
philosophy degree. And he
There's the
can't
word.
Antipathy.
Yes.
You think the
Or
level of
apathy.
hatred
You have
and
an
nastiness.
antipathy for the election college.
Damn you! Sorry. Go ahead.
You think that the hatred and the nastiness of this election has something going on. What is it that you're trying to say about it?
No. I'm not saying that it's this election in particular. I'm saying that the state that we're in right now, as far as our elections go, we have gone out of our way to make voters feel like their vote is unimportant. And my question is that really just kind of always the way that it's been, that we have always understood that the powerful rule and our vote just doesn't matter a whole lot? Or has there been something fundamentally shifted that causes our vote to not mean as much anymore?
That, of course, is the way it should be.
Wouldn't it be funny
know.
I'd say it's always been that way.
It's an interesting
To
question.
be honest.
if Hillary and Trump portray this antagonistic relationship and hatred towards each other? Wouldn't it be funny if secretly like doing a reverse cowgirl at Trump Tower and
A
just
devil's
getting
a
together?
devil's tower with Bill. Yes. No, I completely.
You're messed up, babe.
Did you just get the visual?
Of course I did.
I noticed that you stopped
Of course
eating.
I did. You're just messed up, man. Why do you put things like that in my head? Damn you.
Okay, so yes. Well, now, okay, we're moving on here for
Moving on to sexual positions,
For
I think. Yes.
No, we're moving away from that now.
this is what if we're wrong again. We're going to come back to that for Tyler and Jane, right? Tyler and Jane are going to have to debate on this, and we're looking to the audience to shout out a number. And we've already dealt with whatever it was we dealt with. Number 7, 2.
Dos.
2.
Dos.
2. Okay. So I don't know which one of you wants to go first. Who wants
I'm
to
not
go
afraid.
Well, now we'll fight over it.
Tyler-
What's the
better?
subject?
Let's hear it.
first? Angels.
Go.
What if we're wrong about
It is definitely
angels?
Tyler.
Angels.
Tyler's taking this one.
What if?
Oh, what if we're wrong about angels?
Yeah.
That's kind of easy, actually.
Try not to think of a Saturday morning or something like that in Tyler's house.
All right. Oh, goodness gracious.
See, it's not actually quite as easy, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, to answer these questions. You have to be reasonably bright to
Not
be
to
able to
mention-
come
well-
up with something
And you're
quickly.
asking us?
And
Yeah.
not to mention, you're asking, what if you're wrong about angels, who are supposed to be this very good, benevolent being? What? So
Well,
what if we're wrong
Lucifer
about?
wasn't, was he?
We went there last week.
Oh,
I know,
yeah.
but just for example.
So what if we're wrong about angels? So okay, fine.
Angels don't have to be good.
I mean, do they have to have wings?
Do
How
they
do you
have
know
to?
angels have got wings?
I don't.
what if we're
Well,
wrong
there you
about
go.
it?
What if
Maybe
you're wrong
they
about that
don't.
then?
Maybe they don't.
Are angels naked?
In my dreams. Sorry.
Ew.
Not
Are
my turn
angels
to talk.
male or female?
What if they're like
Why can't they be
Heimlich
both?
on Bug's Life? Oh, I'm a beautiful angel. Look at my wings.
What if angels? What if actually
was that
being
all about?
being granted?
It's from
that
Bug.
come
Never
from?
mind.
What if being granted the position of being an angel is actually a curse? What if all angels are really actually people who have gone to hell because you get so close to being benevolent and being God that you will never ever get there, and you have to do nothing but serve. That's all you get to do. You never get to have a freedom of will. All you have to do, or all you get to do, is serve and do exactly what someone tells you.
See, Tyler,
and
you should have been here
Wasn't
last
that-
week.
And all you have to
Songs
do,
by Bob Dylan?
on all you do, is you sit there and you got to
deep.
serve. Not only,
gotta serve
not only like
somebody.
whoever the person above you is, but if you're an angel, you're probably a guardian angel. So that means you got to look after my ass. Are you serious?
So you're like being a prison guard for the rest of eternity.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Jeez,
that was-
that's
And I
dark.
don't get any kickbacks.
Oh,
like you can't
man.
give me like any smokes or anything like that for that
Jane,
either.
Yeah.
what's your view? What if we're wrong about angels?
I don't know. I have nothing. I've got nothing. I'm sorry. I was listening to him and I was like, yeah, okay, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good point because Lucifer himself was an angel, right?
He was.
Yeah, so, you know.
And he was the first one. He was the only one who actually questioned God
He exercised free will.
because he exercised free will.
Yeah.
So what if
Okay,
what
you
if
guys
all
are going
angels
in
are
a
nothing but actually
critical thinkers.
what
no,
what if it's a punishment put
Yeah,
upon
this
people
actually
like
makes a
For
lot
that?
of
not
sense. It's
being
not
critical
funny at all.
thinkers. For
So
being,
then, are angels in hell, or is the life of an angel a different? Is heaven hell for people that are angels?
you know,
I would say heaven is for mortals. Now, if you're an angel, you may exist in hell, but you are
You would
you've
want to
been
be
punished.
mortal, right?
It's basically
You
heaven's
want the-
punishment.
Yeah.
Okay.
hell's
Okay.
probably more
And I thought this was all going to go in the direction of, what if we're wrong about angels and they do actually exist? But no, you're not going there.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah,
go
you don't ask me stuff like this.
I think
yeah.
it's about rather like the recent death of the baby-eating Bishop of Bath and Wells, who when
The baby-eating bishop. So it's a bishop
baby-eating
who
Bishop
ate
of Bath
babies.
and
This
Wells.
belongs in the
It wasn't a
yes.
baby who ate bishops.
And-
Can I go 2%?
Yes.
and he's on it. He's the final. What was it? They give him the final unction or something. The final
last rites.
The last rites. You see, and he's going, "Go away,
Wow.
go away." He's saying to the to the priest who's there to give him the last rite. He's
Okay,
telling
right
the
there,
priest,
because you didn't know last rides, you're going to become an angel.
I
know.
mean, even Osama bin Laden knows
You're
what
going to run hell
last
for that.
I'm just saying.
So anyway,
God's going to be like,
but the
Taylor, get your
baby-
fucking
the
wings, let's go.
The baby-eating bishop told the priest to leave, and the priest said, "I'm not leaving because if I don't give you the last rites, you will not go to heaven." And he said, "Why the fuck would I want to go to heaven? That's where all the boring people are."
Oh my God, baby
Think
eating
about
bishop
it, you know,
is like
so
a,
maybe
if they
the
play
angels-
chess in hell, that would be a figure like a
Like a
baby
baby
eating bishop.
yeah.
And I thought you were just going to name a rock band after them, the baby eating bishops, you know.
Okay, so let's move on to the final subject. This is a subject that's come from one of our listeners in the UK. If you could wake up one morning being able to speak a language fluently, you just woke up and you know, you sort of were thinking before you went to sleep, well, I'd really like to be able to speak Flemish or something. If you could wake up one morning being able to speak a language fluently, what would it be and why? Serious answers, please.
I know.
Serious?
Starting with Kathleen.
Navajo.
Why not?
It was very useful in codes.
Oh yeah. That's
And there's fewer and fewer people who know it. So it might be worth some money. Oh.
Interesting.
Okay, Evo.
Well, you know, I know what you would say. In my case, you would say that I should probably learn English, but
Let's try and deal with it. Let's take this subject seriously.
How
You
about,
speak English and Bulgarian
I would want
and
to
Russian.
instantly learn Arabic, because that way I can freaking infiltrate. It's a very valuable language to know right now. Just like you
Yeah.
said, coding, about listening up, about providing intelligence, about infiltrating, dangerous organizations. And it's very sought after language, and it's an ancient language. You can actually use it not just for profit right now and to help the society here, but actually read ancient literature, philosophy, math, and just it used to be a very, very rich culture. So yeah, Arabic, and it's one of the most spoken languages in the world.
Good
true.
choice.
Yeah.
Jane.
Mine's kind of a halvesy. If I had to choose one, I would go ahead and choose Latin, just because if I had the base of Latin, then I could figure out the Romantic languages a lot easier. But really, if I could, I would do half and half. I would do half German and I would do half Latin. And then it's a purely selfish reason. It's an academic standpoint. I really love British literature and British history and Old English.
Hang on a minute.
Sorry.
Whoa. We don't do Latin. That's the Romans did the Latin, the
Indeed.
Italians.
Indeed.
Yeah, we don't know. Do you know any Latin?
Not very much, no.
Momas mat, marmus man?
Are you trying to put words in my
Blum,
mouth?
blum,
Because what
low.
I was saying was
Are you
is
having a
that I would
seizure?
like to know.
That was Latin.
I would like to know Latin because I could actually easily learn Romantic languages, but the Germanic languages for the Old English.
Yeah.
You want
And
with
there-
an
and
American
yes, I-
accent like
yes.
that, you're intending to try and
I'd like
could
to
get
know Old
Shakespeare a lot
English.
We'd like the Shakespeare. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Oh, that's a tough question.
try hard to come up with a
I
decent
know.
answer. Yeah,
I
go
know. Honestly, probably Gaelic, to be honest, because I lived in Scotland for a time.
Oh,
on.
a
You mean
Germanic
Scottish Gaelic,
language.
Welsh Gaelic, Cornish Gaelic, or French Gaelic?
Proto-Gaelic.
Anything with gay in it.
And there we have it.
And lick.
Probably like
and
Scottish,
lick. Lick.
probably
I mean,
Scottish
you're
Gaelic, just
so good.
because so much of my family's from there. I kind of like to learn the roots of
Right.
the language of my family. But if it were going to be a modern language, probably Welsh.
Welsh.
Farsi.
Welsh.
The Romantic
Oh,
Gaelic
Farsi.
sounds
Yeah,
almost like
Farsi.
a porn movie.
Because
Romantic Gaelic.
with Arabic, I think Farsi is a very close second, and Arabic and Farsi are somewhat similar.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I'd go with that.
Sure.
No, it's interesting you should say that, because in Gaelic, in Wales, for instance, in Welsh Wales, which is next to England, as everybody knows, Gaelic is still spoken.
Right.
And the street signs and direction
Right.
signs are in Gaelic
And I remember
in
dealing with
English.
that.
Yeah. And Latin is also interesting. You know, my stepdaughter graduated from Cambridge, and the whole thing is done in Latin. It's really fun.
The graduation
If there's
ceremony.
a-
Graduation ceremony was done completely in Latin.
If you go to a bar called Gaelic, don't be surprised if there's security guards in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm so sorry we brought that up.
And
so to
there
speak.
we have it.
Lewis.
I was going to say Arabic for exactly the same reasons that my brother Evo pointed out.
He's your brother?
Yes.
Yes.
How bizarre. I never knew that.
We are brothers.
You have to go back a generation to
Yes.
really see the resemblance.
Yes, to an old bar named Gaelic.
But nobody here said Chinese.
I'm about to say Chinese.
Yeah, that's
Ah.
It is.
Yeah.
I have had a couple years of Chinese instruction. It is one of the most beautiful languages. I have a profound interest in East Asian cultures. In fact, I had considered making that my major in college. And I would love to be able to speak it with the fluency of someone who's spent a few dozen years there.
Cool.
I agree. My son has been studying Chinese for a while, and
He's doing Mandarin, right?
yes, and he's had a lot of progress, and he's doing really great in high school, and he's actually understanding when we're watching Chinese movies. He understands them. The only problem with learning Chinese is that you will be able to understand your mail order brides. That's that's a serious problem.
I spent a lot of time at boarding school with boys from Hong Kong, and I can only remember.
We don't know where this is going to go.
You might want to think about how you phrase that sentence, bud.
Please don't finish that sentence, please.
So I spent a lot of time with little boys from Hong Kong.
Yeah. I can tell you how to tell a monkey to uck off. But there we are.
Is that what they called it?
No, I can remember the words. Anyway, so I tell you what, Mr. Lewis, I think we've sort of got to the end of it for today. Could we ask you, Dr. Lewis, to give us the word so that we can relax here in the smog with his Conroys?
You know, I would be happy to.
Thank you, dear boy.
Brothers and sisters, today our word is estivate.
It disappeared.
Yep.
But estivate.
Yes.
Not estimate, but estivate.
Estivate. Estivate. Estivate. It is a verb. It means either to guess the height, to sleep through the summer, or to quickly escape an area.
2.
2, I think that's an excellent thing to do. I shall
think 3
definitely
as well.
estivate next
Okay,
summer.
we've got 2 2s and 2 3s.
Yeah, I'm not real sure because to guess a height, that'd be estimate. To quickly escape, that'd be evade. So I guess 2.
The answer is
Only 1.
2. To
Yay!
sleep through the summer.
And there we
I
have it.
vaguely remember that est has something to do with the root of the word meaning
Sleep,
summer.
Yeah. Yes.
Sleep?
Uh-huh.
Or summer.
Well, here, I can tell you. Estivare is spending the summer. So, yes.
Right.
I bet if someone knew Latin.
What's the root of that?
I bet if
Yeah,
someone knew
someone
Latin,
knew
she would have known that
Latin.
answer.
Ah,
That sounds like romantic Gaelic.
Yes. Maybe next week we shall decide whether or not what we should do if we were wrong about sloths or Julian Assange.
Sloths.
Yes, or
sloths.
mountain oysters, or even boxer shorts.
I
Thanks
wanted
to our
boxer
producer
shorts.
and editor,
Poop.
Eric. You want to poop?
No, I
Just
want
put your
to.
hand up. If you want to go
Poop.
poop, put your hand up. That's the way we do
Dear.
it here on
Done with
radio.
you, Jeremy. Done.
Producer and editor Eric Holcomb, engineer Neil Rasmussen, who's been playing with TV cameras. Tom Conroy, of course, letting us do this every week. Do come and try steak fries. You may even find some free ones if you look around on the floor. And for running probably the coolest proper pub in the region. For me, your host, Jeremy Taylor, thanks for joining in. And don't forget to check in our shows live on KLWN 1320, particularly on Friday and Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Central, or go to the site Wednesday Night Undressed. Yay!
hey.